Okay, so let's go new project. Okay, so now I'm going to call this, let's call it Davinci tutorial. Okay, create it, and it's going to go in that database that I showed you before. All right, now this is the interface, which is really nice and simple. Okay, so we've got our media that's going to go here. This is our play window, and this is our editing window. All right, I just got to hide this so it's out of our way. Oh, what did I do? Okay, now all these little tabs down the bottom, they do different things which are really good. Okay, so they can specify what we want to do. Now I'm going to hover there. That is just media. This one's for cutting. If you look at this one here, it's called editing, and this is the one I like to work on. This is the best interface to work on while we're editing. So if I click that, you'll see the interface changes. Okay, see how it's changed around a little bit now? There's no clips in my media pool, and we've got our interface here. So the first thing we need to do is bring files in. Now, I've kept everything in one file, all right? So I put all my photos in all my video into one file called drone footage or something like that, just so, so let's import them. And we want to bring our media in, okay? So let's chuck it in there. Now you can see Rosebank drone, okay? This is the footage that I was going to bring in. Rosebank drone footage. So if I double click on there, you'll see that I've got DJI, which is my drone footage. And as you can see here, it's got MP4s, which I was talking about before. And I've got my other one here. So what I've done is I've got two types of footage here. I've got an interview, and then I've got drone footage, okay? And the reason I've done that is so I can show you a primary storyline and a secondary storyline, and something similar to what you're going to do, where you're going to bring in separate footage. So I'm going to bring in just this clip here, which I know my MOV file was recorded on my camera, and it was the interview file. Okay, I should have called it interview, so I should have named it really. And if I open that, okay, change project frame rate. Okay, so the selected clips have a different frame rate to the project. Would you like to change your timeline frame rate to match? Yes, you want to do that. So I want the frame rate to be 25 frames per second, which is what I filmed it in, and then this sequence will be the same. So I'm going to change it. Okay, and by doing that, now this file will work perfectly in this sequence. Okay, now the thing about editing files is I use this thing called a three-point editing, which is old school editing, which gives me 3 points, which gives me, so if I double click on this, now I know I'm going to use this video here, and I'm going to use 3-point editing. So 1 point will be my in point, which is the start of the clip that I want to use, and the second point will be my out point, which is the end of the clip that I want to use, and the third point will be where in this sequence do I want to drop it in. Now, because there's nothing else here, I'm going to drop it into the start. But I need to get my first bit of good content. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this, and then I'll show you how you do in and out points and how you drop it in the sequence, okay? So let's go, that's the stop bar there, and if you just sit on things, if you just get this pointer to sit on things, it'll tell you where you are. So stop, play, play reverse, go to the first frame, jog the wheel, go to the last frame, and these things here is the mark in and the mark out points. So they're going to be my first frame, my first point at editing, my second point at editing. Now there's shortcuts you can use on your keyboard, and the mark in is I for in, and the mark out is O for out. And I'll show you that in a second. So what I usually do is I film this guy, and you can see that I've got him in general rules of thirds. He moved around a bit, but generally he's in the right spot. So let's play him. Let's see what he says. And he was interviewed by another person from Choice Homes, and we'll see what he says, and we'll try to grab some good bits to drop it into here. So let's play it.
So COVID's been a bit of a challenge for the industry, but now we're at the other side. You're getting plenty of homes out of the ground?
Yes.
Okay. So say we want to get yes. Okay. So I just stopped it there, but he started talking before I got to stop it. So we can take it back a frame. Okay. So let's go to, sorry, let's take it.
See?
Okay, so we just take it back, and now I use my I can use my left and right keys to just get me exactly on the right spot. So let's play it again.
Out of the ground. Yep.
So see how it said, yeah, let's take it back a couple of frames by just using my backspace, my left arrow key.
Yep.
Okay. So I've got him at the start of yes. Now I'll just mark that as an in point. I'll click that and you'll see that it changes. See how that turned grey? Okay. Now because I haven't got an out point, that whole clip can be used if it needs to. But let's just play and see what he says.
Yes, we are at the moment. Like, it's a very, very challenging time for us through the whole industry. But mainly with choice, we've been working our way through that at the moment. It's been sort of beneficial for us. We've got a lot of homes that are coming through.
Okay, so he was playing with his pen, so I got him to stop it. But that's fine. For the example we're going to use, we'll just keep it as it is. And see how his head's pointing down? We don't want that. So let's go to our left and right little arrow keys on our keyboard. And I'm just going to click it backwards, frame by frame, just so that I can get to the correct bit that I want to, the right bit of the end of the clip. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's a frame. Every time I click it, it's a frame. Okay, so let's say there, he's looking at me and he's just finishing off his sentence. And then we can either click that, mark out, or I can press O on my keyboard, and you'll see that this whole section will turn, the only section will stay gray is this little section here. Okay, so we now know this is the section we want first, and that's your first bit of editing. Okay, now all we got to do is just grab it, put our pointer over the top of it, click on it, and drag it to the start of our program. Okay, and put it right up against the start there. Okay, and now you'll see that we got one video track and we got one audio track. Okay, and I think Claire was asking me before, can you separate the clips? Yes, you can, but they're in sync for you. So our video clips and our audio clips are in sync. So if I play this now by the space bar, by pressing the space bar or
yes, we are at the moment. It's a very, very challenging time for us through the whole industry. But mainly with choice, we've been working our way through that at the moment. It's been sort of beneficial for us. We've got a lot of homes that are coming through.
Okay, we probably need to do a bit more editing there to cut my voice out when I interrupted him. But that's your first edit, basically. Okay, so we got our first video and our first audio, and we're doing well. Okay, now if you want to make these bigger and smaller, you can. So you just grab your pointer and click on there and just drag it down a bit, and you'll see that now we've got a little line there that I can adjust the audio as well if I have to. Okay, so there's lots of good stuff. All right, so that's our first clip, everybody. We did our first edit. All right, so now we know up in our master thing here, we've got a timeline. We've also got the original clip. Now, if we want to go back to the original clip and grab more information from it, we just go back up here, double click again, and we're back to our original clip. You'll see that's highlighted from where I've taken the footage from. So I'm not going to need that footage anymore because I've already got it down in my sequence. Now, as I mentioned before, nonlinear editing means that I can place things anywhere without going from start to finish. And I'll show you how I do that now. All right. And you can adjust your screen size and everything as well by just playing around. So if I hover in between these lines here, you'll see if I hover down here, you'll see it changes. I'll click on that and then I can drag it up. So it makes my timeline a bit bigger and the picture up here a bit smaller. Or you can drag it back down again if you want a bigger picture. So you can do lots of good things. Now, to edit really well, you need to know, you need about 2 years worth of practice to get really good at it. But in that, you'll be able to do nice, simple edits without a problem in the first few weeks. So you won't have a problem at all. Okay, let's just get back to this again. Okay. All right. All right, so let's get another clip. So let's double click on him again. So the other thing too is wherever it's red is what what you're working on. So you can see this is red up here. That's what I'm working on at the moment, okay? So let's get another clip. Let's press play.
Let's grab that pen off you because I could hear it clicking. It's probably, let's see a gun. Oh, yeah, that's all good. So let's go.
So this is, again, this is actually not bad. I'm glad you saw this, because one of the things when you're interviewing people, you've got to make sure that you can hear what's going on. So I could hear his pen clicking. That's why I got him to stop to do it again, okay? So you need to do the same thing.
Do it again? Yeah, so the industry for COVID has been quite challenging, but we've got through that now. We're getting plenty of homes out of the ground. Yeah, I agree. That.
Okay, so let's get him back on the air. So let's go quickly. We can go frame by frame, or we can just use our left and arrow keys. Okay, so just listen to it. Now, if I press I, which is the in point, you'll see that the grey will change. That'll be my new in point here. Okay, so mark in. You can see that's my new in point. I'll press play and let him talk.
Yeah, I agree. It has been a challenging time for us through the COVID situation. You can see through our estate here, we've got our properties moving pretty quickly. We just started here in December. We've got quite a few homes up at the moment.
Okay, we've got a few homes up at the moment, and there was a nice pause there. So that was actually a much better clip. Okay, if I press this button here, it'll give me an out point. You'll notice again that that bit will go away and we'll only have this bit selected. Okay, great. Now, there's other ways to drop your files in, but I'm just going to keep it nice and simple for you at the moment. So just hover over the top of the clip, click on it, and just drag it down. That's the easiest at the moment. There's other ways, and I can show you that later on. Okay, now I can drop this wherever I want. Okay, so you can see that I don't need to put it all the way here. I can drag it and put it over here if I want. Okay, I'm just going to bring these files up again. And the reason I do that is, say I wanted this clip over here, or wherever I wanted it. Now, the other thing too is, see, I've only got one video channel and one audio channel. I can move this up into the next video frame above it. Now you can see I've got video 2 here. Okay, so let's move this down a bit. So you can see I can manipulate the screens quite easily, okay, to suit me. And you'll notice when you watch the Adobe Premiere Pro tutorial, I do the same thing there as well. I move stuff around. So now I've got a video file here, which is video 2, and I've got video 1 here. Now, I'm not going to keep this here because I was talking about primary and secondary storylines before. So when someone's talking in an interview, I always keep them on one track. So but I just changed this just to show you that I could move them around. So I'd still keep it here. Okay, just for the time being. When I bring in some other clips, I'll put them above it, which will be the secondary storyline, which is overlay footage, which is not the primary narrative storyline, which is telling the story. Okay, so I can just drag clips wherever I want. Okay, now I'm going to bring in. So we don't have a lot of time left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring another clip in for you, and I'm just going to make a basic edit for you, and then we can export it so you can see how I export it. All right, so we need to bring some overlay footage in now. So I brought in an interview. Let's bring in some drone footage. So again, File, Import, Media. Again, I've got everything in one folder called the Rosebank drone because it's like that's my the company that I'm working for. And then I can just pick one of these. Now, do you remember how I said you can only really use MP4 or MOVs? Now, these SRT files here are just information files. They're not video files. So you don't need those. So let's just bring in the video, like this one here is just a drone footage file. Now, on my Mac, I can just press play and it just shows me what the footage is. Okay, so I know that that's good drone footage. And then I press my space bar and it goes away. So I'll look at it and go, this is 1.14 gigabytes. So I know it's a long file and it's an MPEG-4. Okay, MP4 means MPEG-4. So let's bring that in. So I'll open and you can see that it's come up in here. And remember I said that whatever's red is what we're going to use. So I'll double click that. So it opens up in this window here. Now we can edit this the same way we edited the last file. Okay, so we can screen through, we can pick start points, we can pick end points, we can do whatever we want. Okay, so let's just go through. Okay, and then you can do it fast. So I'm going to do it quickly for you just so you can see, but just say I wanted it to start there. I'll click it in point, and I want it to finish there. I'll go out point, and then I just drag the file and put it over the top. Okay, so now you can see I've got two video files. I've got an video 1, which is my primary storyline that's telling the story through the interview, and I've got video 2, which is all the overlay footage. Okay, now I can move this around anywhere I want, so I can get the interview to start before the footage starts. Okay, so let's click on that.
Yes, we are at the moment. Like, it's a very, very challenging time for us through the whole industry, but mainly with choice. We've been working.
So what you see there is whatever's on top is the dominant video. Okay, so if I swap this around and put him on the channel 3, he would be the dominant thing. So that's what I would see.
Working our way through that at the moment.
And as you can see, it's very easy to move things around. So I just click on it and move it around somewhat. I'll just put it back in its spot. Okay, but I've just shown you that we can put the primary storyline on video 1 and the secondary story on video 2. So let's go through.
And it's been sort of beneficial for us. We've got a lot of homes that are coming through.
And then because there was a little bit of, I'll just go back, and this is the scrubber bar. So you can just scrub and get things right. Now, I made a mistake here I interrupted the guy early. So let's get rid of that.
We've got a lot of homes that are coming through.
Okay. So I can just go, I can do a little bit of an edit in here. So just hover over the top and you see these two lines, just click on it. And sorry, those two lines, click on it. See how it's gone green, and I can just bring it. Okay, now I've got rid of that.
Sort of beneficial for us. We've got a lot of.
Okay, so I got rid of it. Didn't sound that great because it needs finer editing.
Yeah, I agree. It has been a challenging time for us through the COVID situation. You can see through our estate here, we've got our properties moving pretty quickly. We just started here in December. We've got quite a few homes up at the moment.
Okay, and then you can trim this as well. So maybe we just wanted to trim it as well, so we could just trim it up here as well. So now we've got a basic edit, everybody. Okay, and you can see that you can move this around anywhere you want. We can bring it shorter. We can make this closer here. We can do lots of stuff.
Yes, we are at the moment. Like, it's a very, very challenging time for us.
Okay. If you want to get rid of something, you just click it and delete it. Gone. Okay, so, and then if you want to bring it all together, you just highlight the whole lot and you can move it wherever you want. And that's why it's called non-linear editing. It's a very, very good thing. Now, this is Davinci Pro. Now, because I've got a fast computer and my frame rates are all correct, I don't have to do any rendering, which is making sure that the computer works well with the clips. So you can see everything in real time.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay?
It has been
if your computer's not fast and you have got the wrong frame rate and aspect ratio, a red or a yellow line will come up the top here and it'll make everything really jittery. So try your best not to let that happen. Okay. So lots of good stuff, and there's lots of tools and things, and as I mentioned before, there's a more detailed tutorial if you want to look on it yourself. And in the tutorial on Wednesday and Friday, I think, and tomorrow for some people, there's much more information for you to go through.
Challenging time for us through the COVID.
Okay, now, so we've got a couple of minutes left. So what we're going to do, I'm going to export it for you. So you can do titles, you can add music. So if you want to just add music, you can drop it into the bottom. I'll just do that for you quickly. So file, import, media. Now, I'll have to go and find some music because I don't have it in the same file. All right, let's have a look. Kids music for animation. Let's do that. Okay. So I've got some kids music here. So let's drop that in. Open that. Okay. So let's double click that and listen to it. Okay. So let's just kick that little bit there. So so I can just drag it back and forth like this. So let's give that an in point. Let's give that an out point, and then just drag that and we can put it underneath here. Okay, so let's have a look.
Yeah, I agree. It has been a challenging time for us through the COVID situation. You can see through our estate here, we've got our properties moved.
Okay, and then you can, if I wanted to extend it, I just drag it even further over. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. It has been a challenging time for us through the COVID situation. You can see through our estate here, we've got our properties moving pretty quickly. We just started here in December. We've got quite a few homes up at the moment.
Okay, so we've got a basic edit. Now we can do really good titles and things like that, and names and everything like that. And we can do that in the tutorials for you. But I'll just quickly show you a few more things about this program before we finish. Now, if you go down the bottom here, you can see all these little fancy things. So Fusion's like a color grading thing. Motion graphics thing. You can do lots of amazing stuff. This is color grading. You can grade all the colors in there as well. You can do specific audio, and you can adjust audio, and with you can see that every audio channel can individually be used, which is fantastic. Okay, and this is where we export stuff out here. Okay, so we press this little thing here, and it looks like a little spaceship, and it's got all these options for us. Okay, now we could have done a quick export, but it limits us. We want to control our export. So as I mentioned before, we want it at 1920 by 1080 at 25 frames per second. So always make sure that that is the correct resolution. Now we can see the format. It's QuickTime, which QuickTime is an MOV file, so that's fine. Now there's this thing called a codec. Okay, so don't get too lost in these things called codecs. But H.264 is a compression codec. So all it does is it compresses the video so that you get maximum quality for the minimum space. Okay, so that's all what H.264 is. So the codec. So please don't worry about it too much. Now ProRes, for instance, is a very high quality, high size. So for instance, this little clip here could be 30 megabytes with H.264, but in ProRes it might be 300 megabytes. So 10 times bigger, but you won't even notice the quality. So just export in H.264. Now we always need a file name, so let's just call this edited tutorial. Okay. And we want to save it somewhere. So make sure you always save it in a safe place. So let's go browse. You can get on your desktop, so you can put it in your movies folder. Okay. Or you can just put it on your desktop, or you can put it in your document. Okay. So editing folders for Chris. Let's put it in there. Okay. But make sure you've got it all in one folder. You save that. Okay, so now you know that the file is going to be called editing tutorial. I didn't spell it very well, but that's okay. And the location is on my desktop in my editing folder. Okay, it's going to be video. It's QuickTime, H.264. The resolution's 1920 by 1080, and the frame rate's 25 frames per second. It's automatic quality, and you don't really need to know about the rest. So let's add it to the render queue. Okay, now the render queue is up here. So just click on it and render all. What rendering does is just putting all the pictures together. Okay, it's completed in 4 seconds, so it's very quick. Okay, now if I go into my files, application, the desktop, where is it? Editing folder for Chris, editing tutorial, you can see it's a QuickTime movie. So let's double click that. There's our first video, everybody. Let's click on that.
Yeah, I agree. It has been a challenging time for us through the COVID situation. You can see through our estate here, we've got our properties moving pretty quickly. We just started